and welcome back to the Guts to Critique. We are doing a review of Season 6 of Cobra Kai, and we're going to break it down into 3 parts because they broke the season down into 3 parts. So we'll review the first 5 episodes, the middle 5 episodes, and then the last 5 episodes, and it's going to be a total roller coaster.
Yep.
So,
I think overall we can say that, we really appreciate the original Karate Kid movies,
mm-hmm.
and, when we first started watching the show, we were very excited, we were really enjoying it, and there will be spoilers for previous seasons, because, those have been out for years,
and there will be spoilers for Part 1 and Part 2, probably. There'll probably be spoilers for Part 1 and 2, because those have been out for several months.
Yes.
Part 3 will be spoiler-free, because that just came out.
Yeah.
So,
but it'll be minor spoilers, we'll try and keep it vague.
Yeah, so let's just dive right into it. So, Part 1, the first 5 episodes, I thought these were easily some of the worst episodes of the entire series.
Oh, yeah.
Where there's a massive dip in the quality of the writing, where they're recycling conflicts and character arcs, where 2 characters that didn't see eye to eye before and then learn to get over that. Once again, they don't see eye to eye, and they have to learn to get over it again. It's like we're just recycling the same conflicts and rivalries, and I think in episode 1, there's a whole conflict over what the name of the dojo is gonna be, and it's what are we doing? We're just wasting so much time here.
Yeah, that's my first point. There's so much filler. These first 5 episodes, literally, here's my... I have a thought. I think the reason that they waited so long and that they split it into 3 parts was because they wanted it to say 2025. They wanted it to say through 2025. And so I think they needed to take that time to get it into 2025. So they're like, let's film some episodes so we can not keep them waiting too long, but they have some stuff to watch, and it's not the plot yet. And so here's a bunch of filler. I feel like these first 5 episodes were so stupid.
I already felt like the show was kind of overstaying its welcome when they said that they were doing a season 6.
Yes! I literally, one of my points...
I wasn't done.
Sorry.
So, season 5, I thought that could have easily have been the ending of the show. It ended on a very satisfying note where they resolved pretty much all of the major conflicts and character arcs of the show, and there wasn't really anywhere to go from there. And so they made another season where all of our best conflicts and character arcs and plot lines have already been used up. And so we just have to manufacture new plot lines, and we're reusing old plot lines, and it just, and with these first 5 episodes, I think you absolutely feel that the show is just overstaying its welcome, and there aren't really any original things in here.
Yeah, so one of my points is, why didn't they just end it with season 5? And the only reason they couldn't was because they did the cliffhanger with Kreese at the end, but it's they didn't need to do that. If they had just said, alright, he's free now, and he's okay, I'm gonna go make a life from it. They could have ended it.
Season 5 ends with Cobra Kai being defeated and disbanded.
They could have
they could have just ended it there.
But they didn't.
Silver's defeated, Kreese is in prison, and then they had to have Kreese break out.
Yeah, and they I feel in the first 5 episodes they take a lot of characters and they either just ruin them because they're stupid, or all that stuff with Mr. Miyagi. I feel they're tearing down his legacy.
A big plot line of these first 5 episodes is these mysteries of Mr. Miyagi's past, and I didn't think they really added anything. I thought they, if anything, just made Mr. Miyagi worse. And, they keep going with it throughout the season, and, it gets a little bit better, but, it just kind of puts a bad taste in your mouth about Mr. Miyagi. And it's just why are you doing this? This isn't adding anything. This is just filler to pad out the season with more episodes. Yeah. Another thing in here, they bring in Mike Barnes. They bring him back in to help out with the training, and I feel he was totally wasted.
Yeah.
Like, when you bring in Mike Barnes, even in Season 5, they brought him back, and they didn't really do much with him. And here, they bring him back for one episode, so that he can, like, help train the students. And it's like, they could have done so much more with him. Like, in particular, well, we'll get to that more, like, with parts 2 and 3, there's a lot more they could have done with Mike Barnes. But, unfortunately, it's fun to see him. It's fun to see, like the same actor reprising the role and stuff, but, like, I just wish they would have done more with him. That was everything I had for part 1.
I just had one more point, and we kind of already touched up on it, but there were so many, like, stupid arguments or fights. Like, they literally just wanted to get action in there for these.
Mm-hmm.
So it would be like, they're on a college tour. Let's make a fight in a frat house. Let's beat some. It's like, no,
yeah,
just stop.
like, there's just such a dip in the quality of the writing. But so part 2, better than part 1, in my opinion, is certainly an improvement.
Yes.
Because with these 5 episodes, we actually get to the tournament, we get to the Sekai Taikai, but they're still not great. This is still nowhere near as good as Cobra Kai like used to be. I think a major plot point in this part is Tori's turn/betrayal, where in part 1 her mom dies, and then in part 2 they reveal that she's gone over to Kreese and Cobra Kai, and so she's kind of betrayed the heroes. And I thought that it was handled better in this season than it has been, like, the betrayal in, like, previous seasons, where even though she's kind of betrayed her friends don't turn, like, bitter towards her. Like, they understand, like, why she's made this choice, and, like, they respect it. And I actually liked that.
Yeah.
It would have been annoying if it was, like, just once again, it's like, oh, I hate you because you betrayed us. Like, I'm glad they didn't go that route.
It was just like, they were like, hey, why didn't you just tell us? You could have just talked to us. And he was like, okay, yes, this is what, like, they're friends, thank you. And that's, one of my points, actually. There's stupid fights again. Like, that is, like, they handle that great, but then they would go and show another Cobra Kai character against a Miyagi-Do character, and it's like,
it's always like these like dumb. This? It's always like these dumb things of like, oh, who can kick higher? Like there's like those they pause for like 5 minutes. The Cobra Kai students challenge the Miyagi-Do students. They're like, oh, can you kick over this line? Like, oh, are you chicken? And like it's like this is just so lazy.
And literally,
there's nothing. I'm not getting anything out of this. And kind of adding to that, the Cobra Kai students have no depth or development. The main guy, his name is, like, Quan. He's, like, the main student. And I got nothing out of him other than he likes to talk like this. Oh, yeah. Like, everything he says is, like, mockingly or sarcastic. And so I don't care about him. And where they go towards the end of part 2, like, with what they do with him, like, it's supposed to be like this major shocking thing. Like, I didn't care because I didn't like
sympathy for him.
I feel no sympathy towards this character because he's just a jerk. We don't know anything about him other than he's just a jerk, and I just didn't get anything out of it.
Yeah, one of my very first point for part 2 is can we please go back to kids learning self-defense and not this like garbage that we're getting. Yeah, and, like, I felt like so many of the kids were getting cocky in this part. They were like, oh, we got this. And, like, Robbie is the captain for Miyagi-Do. And he did the, like, the kicking thing with Quan. Is that it? Yeah, Quan. And it was, like, literally Robbie said, no, guys, this isn't worth it. Let's go away. And it's like, yes, finally, be the bigger person. And then he's like, all right, bet. It's like, he's like, guys, I'm not even gambling. We know I'll win. And it's like, no, you'll lose. We know you'll lose.
Yeah, and kind of adding to that, like, why does Miyagi-Do just suck all of a sudden? Like, in these 5 episodes, the tournament starts, and Miyagi-Do just sucks. And that's kind of something that has been, like, a recurring thing with this show, is, like, these fluctuating power and skill levels where, like, in one episode, a character is just awesome and they're unstoppable. They're the best karate fighter ever. No one can beat them. Nothing can stop them. And then they meet, like, one person and they get their butt whooped and it's like, oh, I can't beat them.
Like,
and then everyone starts beating them up. and then they have to get a pep talk from someone, and they're like, "Oh yeah, wait, I'm awesome, right? I forgot." And then they beat the other person.
They do that so much. It's just like, here's a pep talk for you. Oh, you need a pep talk? Here's a pep talk for you. Oh, you need one? Here you go.
Like, I'm so sick of like the fluctuating skill levels, because like in particular with like characters like Hawk and Robbie, who were like the best fighters like of like their age group, and then like you get here and they're just getting their butts whooped like left and right. Like, the only character here that actually does, like, semi-well is Miguel. Like, he actually, like, there's like, moments with, like, him taking on, like, 2 people at once, and it's, like, really impressive and really cool.
And he's not even the team captain.
He's not even the team captain.
Wait,
so...
how is he not the team captain? And he's, like, the OG, or he's, whatever. And, like,
yeah, so...
I guess that's too predictable, maybe? I don't know.
Yeah, like, I don't understand why they took this in the direction that they did, and the Sekai Taikai itself... For being the biggest tournament, biggest karate tournament in the world, of all the tournaments that we've seen in the entire Karate Kid franchise, this is the one that feels the least like a karate tournament, or like the least professional karate tournament, where in all the other like seasons and movies, the tournament was always like an actual karate tournament, like one-on-one fights, like actual karate, like 3 points to win. Whoever wins progresses, whoever loses is out. That's simple. And with the Sekai Taikai, it's like, oh, you have to fight on a platform and whoever falls off loses. Or, oh, you capture the flag, you have to try and take this thing off of a person.
Don't care.
And it's like, how is this a karate tournament? How is this the biggest karate tournament in the world? Like, this is, like, ridiculous.
Yeah, and I also, like, I get annoyed with lots of the characters as they go on, because they're just like, you know, they get knocked down and then they're like, oh, I can't do this, and it's like, just stop, just...
Yeah, like, in particular with Robbie in these 5 episodes, he's just constantly being distracted because of Tori, and like, it keeps happening, where like, he'll be fighting someone, he'll look away for like just a second, and will get beat up.
And Miguel will even yell at him about
they address it. They bring it up to him. They're like, dude, you gotta, like, focus. And he's like, yeah, okay, you're right. And then he does it again, and he gets beat up. And it's like, they should have just made Miguel the captain. Like, I don't know why they didn't...
Is that her name?
Yeah. Devin. Oh, yeah, like, the Devin character.
She's so annoying!
Like, I don't hate her, but, like...
I didn't hate her.
I don't see why she's relevant, why she needs to be here.
And then
They make a big deal out of her in the first 5 episodes, and then in these episodes, they reveal that, like, she's just not that good of a fighter.
And then they do Kenny, and it's just...
Yeah, we'll get to that later. But...
We're just annoyed with characters.
So, those were all my points for part 2.
We talked about how they fluctuate. Yeah.
So,
part 3.
So, like, well... Just wrap up part 2. Better than part 1. Still not great. Part 3. I would say that these episodes, in particular, the last 3, are some of the best episodes of the entire series.
Yes.
Like, this is absolutely a return to form from, like, what we expect from Cobra Kai.
Yep.
The writing, the quality is back, where the character arcs, plot lines... Like, they actually feel natural and earned.
Totally agree.
We get back to, like, the student-teacher dynamics. That's, like, kind of like what made the show so interesting and compelling in the first place. What were some of your points?
I felt like it was kind of pointless. It was like, why are we doing this? And then it just went uphill, and I was like, oh, yeah. So, yeah, I agree. The last 3 episodes. And, they kind of... don't acknowledge some stuff, I felt like. Whether it happened earlier in the season or in these episodes, they would do something and not acknowledge it.
The only instance of that I can remember is, like, where they go with Kreese and Silver. They do something that, like, it's a pretty big thing, and then they don't really stop to acknowledge it. So... it just kind of happens.
And that actually...
And it should be this big thing.
And that actually adds on to one of my points. The way they chose to resolve some things, such as Kreese and Silver, it kind of shocked me. I was like, oh, that's how they're going to do that. Okay.
Yeah, I thought for the most part, there was a satisfying conclusion for most of the characters, almost all of them. What like all like the main characters get a satisfying conclusion.
Which I actually just want to quickly mention, they only focus on a handful of characters.
Yeah, before I think they realized like the show was getting too crowded, like there was too many students and like they couldn't focus on all of them. So they specifically cut it down to like these like 6 people.
Yeah.
And I thought that was actually a really wise move because it was getting too crowded. Like I didn't care about like half of the students in the show.
Yeah.
And like these are like the big ones. Like these are the only ones I actually care about. Um and what kind of like going back to what I said before about like getting back to the like student teacher dynamics, where they go with Johnny and Kreese, I loved. I thought what we got with them was great, and it helped elevate these episodes above the rest. Um, I have like there's some nitpicky things like I wish Hawk got more to do. Like Hawk became like a pretty big character in the show, and then with seasons 5 and 6, they really nerf him to where like he used to be like one of the best fighters, and now he's like one of like the worst fighters, and he gets a satisfying enough conclusion, but like he doesn't get a whole lot to do.
No.
I wish Johnny was better at fighting.
Yeah.
Which I guess this is more of a critique for part 2 than part 3, but like once again, Johnny's another character. Like sometimes he can take on like 5 senseis at once and beat them all. And then other times, one guy completely overwhelms him.
And I think that adds on to one of my points. I put lots of cheesy parts, such as, you just showed us Johnny in season 5 beating 5 senseis.
Yeah.
Cut a guy's pinky off, and now he's, like, overwhelmed by this one guy. Mm-hmm. And it's like...
And, like, they try to, like, manufacture this rivalry between him and, like, this random sensei. And... like, I thought it ended satisfyingly. Like, I liked where they went with it, but I just thought it was kind of lame, because, like, we don't know who this guy is. They just introduce him out of nowhere. I don't care about him at all. And so, like, the fact that you're trying to give Johnny this rivalry with this random guy, I thought it would have been a lot more interesting if they had put, like, Mike Barnes in that place, or even Terry Silver in that place. Like, it would have been a lot more interesting if they had done something like that. In particular, like especially like where they go towards the end. Again, we can't get into too many spoilers here, but I think it would have been a lot better if they had replaced this random guy with Silver, Mike Barnes, someone like that, someone that we actually know and care about. That would have made it a lot more interesting.
Yeah, and
But I thought that Johnny's conclusion, like where they go with him, was very satisfying, and I was very happy with where they went with him.
Yeah, I only have 2 more points, and one of them is I do like how they pulled it all together in the end, and how they ended it. I was like, oh, that's good, and it made me understand why we had a season 6. While I still think they didn't need it, I understood why they did it.
Yeah, and kind of, to build off of that, like, I said before that it feels like the show was overstaying its welcome with season 6. Even a little bit with, like, season 5, there was, like, some there was, like, a little bit of, like, we're kind of all over the place.
Yeah.
You could feel like there was some issues there. But I feel like with season 6, it's more of, like, an issue. But you can tell that, like, once you get to, like, these last few episodes, it's easy to see why they were excited about doing this and why, like, they wanted to do it.
Yeah.
Because it is great. And I am glad that's part of the show. But I don't think that this stuff over here necessarily justifies all of this. Like, having, like, these 3 awesome episodes doesn't really make me forgive all of these mediocre episodes.
I definitely think they could have taken these last 3 episodes and thrown them in to season 5 and fixed season 5.
I feel like, instead of having season 6, like, having an entire season on top of, like, already having 5 seasons, doing a whole season, in addition to making this the longest season with 5 extra episodes, it just felt like way too much. And so I feel like they should have taken the best parts of this season, take out all the filler of season 5, and just kind of mix it together. I feel like that probably would have worked a lot better.
Yeah, I agree. And I don't know if I already said this, but like, I liked how they pulled it all together at the end, and it made me understand why there is a season 6. I still don't think... I really do think that it could have been done in season 5 if they had just rewritten it. And it's moments like these that I think you and I should be writing the show. We would make it so much better. And I think that it definitely... I mean, they pulled it together in the end, but overall, I would give it probably like a... I mean, this season, I would give a 6 out of 10.
I would give the season as a whole a 6.5 out of 10. Like, because the highs were really, really good, but the lows were a lot lower than the show is used to.
Yeah.
So, it kind of averages out to that for me. And even, like, parts 1 and 2, even though I thought those were the weakest episodes, like, they're still watchable. Like, I still had fun. Like, I still enjoy watching these characters. There are still some really funny jokes. So, like, I still enjoyed it overall.
Yeah.
It's just that the great stuff, it takes way too long to get to all of that.
And I feel like I think they didn't need all this filler to get to the great stuff. They really just wanted it to say, through 2025. Mm-hmm. They really didn't need those first 5 episodes. They could have put the crucial stuff in part 2.
Yeah, it just felt stretched out.
Yeah.
So overall, that's just what we thought of it. Let us know what you thought of season 6 of Cobra Kai, or just the show as a whole, at our email.
And also, if there are any movies or shows that have come out recently or, long ago, and you want us to review them, let us know. We can do that. Mm-hmm. And I think that's it.
Yep. So thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you all next time.